back to that 100-degree weather. Ashley Webster in Athens, where the Greeks are gearing up for an election that's being watched all over the world. So what's the latest, Ash?
Yeah, it's a good question, Tracy. I think at this point, they don't allow polls, by the way, 2 weeks before the election. So you get these secret poll results that are released, but you don't know whether you can believe them or not. But I think it's pretty close between the New Democracy Conservative Party and the radical left-wing party. And it's the radical left-wing party, Syriza party, that says that if they are elected and form a government, they will indeed renegotiate all of the terms of the bailout, and they will not side with any other party that is pro that bailout agreement. So it's all rather up in the air, and it's unclear at this point whether the EU would allow Greece to actually renegotiate the terms. I doubt it very much, and it could very well be the beginning of the end, and indeed Greece could eventually be forced out of the Eurozone. So there is a lot at stake. We've seen what's happened in Spain and Italy today as people start to look to those weaker economies, with the Spanish 10-year yield now hitting for a short time today 7%, and Italians' borrowing rates also heading higher. So certainly a lot at stake. Here in Athens, life is tough. There's no doubt about it. Unbearable, as some people say, and they don't care what happens, they say. Even if we're under the euro, we're under the drachma, it makes no difference. Life is very difficult. We actually managed to sit down and find out what the housing market here is like, especially the real estate in Athens.
I could say that the only type of market we have right now is a buyer's market. And we have the buyer's market is because there's no cash flow. And because prices, more or less, when there's no cash flow, they go down. So right now, it's only strictly a buyer's market.
How far have those prices gone down in the last, say, 2 years?
I would say if we look at the residential market's about 30% more or less, depending on the area, of course, because the high-end areas are keeping their prices more or less, and they're not going down as much as secondary markets in areas.
Can anyone get a mortgage these days?
Very difficult. Financing in Greece is very difficult now. The banks are not financing. Mortgage loans they're not existent. The banks are all waiting to see what will be happening in the Greek market. So there's no financing.
So who's buying?
Well, actually, there's a lot of interest that foreigners are looking, and actually the only market that exists right now is the distressed market. The distressed market meaning opportunity property. All opportunistic type of property, either residential or commercial. Whatever is an opportunity type of market, a buyer's market, this is the only type of market that exists.
But aren't those buyers concerned that Greece maybe could drop out of the Eurozone, and then if you go to the drachma, those values will come down even more?
I think this is the main problem, that if a foreigner owns property in Greece, he's really concerned if the market price will remain the same, because if we do go to the drachma, I personally don't believe we'll go to the drachma, but if we do go to the drachma, prices will go down. They'll lose more value than expected.
And he was talking about those foreign buyers, Tracy, and I said exactly, well, what do you mean, where? And he said increasingly people from Russia, there's the Chinese and people from other European countries coming to Greece, having a look, thinking, well, maybe there's going to be some cheap property to buy, but they're still waiting because they too want to see what happens as far as Greece's future in the Eurozone. And by the way, Greeks are continuing to take money out of the banks at the rate of $750 million per day. The National Bank of Greece said it's okay. We've got enough cash on hand to handle it, but if things go not as planned for the elections on Sunday, and it appears that Greece's future will be even more uncertain, there is always that risk that the run on the banks could begin in earnest. Hopefully that won't happen, but certainly something to keep an eye on. Tracy, back to you.
Ashley Webster out in Athens. It's some scary stuff. Run on banks, we're talking crazy things. Yeah. All right, Ashley's going to be covering it wall to wall, including all the way through to the elections over the course of the next 3 days.